Hi, my name is Dawson Church, and I am so delighted to welcome you to this Mind Valley quest. I am beyond excited to introduce you to this quest because the experiences you're going to have here are extraordinary. On the surface, the quest is very simple. For 21 days, you'll use a science-based method called eco-meditation. Each track is around 20 minutes long. But saying that the quest is 21 days of 20-minute meditations is like comparing a $1 million trip on the SpaceX rocket to a ride on a bicycle. You are going to be experiencing extraordinary mental states in the course of this quest. These are the ecstatic states experienced by the mystics and people in flow throughout the course of history. These adepts were extraordinarily happy. They didn't usually start out with happy lives. Many lived among poverty, ignorance, and disease. Some were persecuted or silenced. Yet despite all these difficulties, they reached states of extraordinary happiness. By using the science-based methods in this quest, you can get there too. This quest represents the distilled wisdom of thousands of years of human experience. Archaeological evidence shows that people have been entering mystic brain for millennia. By trial and error, great masters have figured out how to lead people to these states. They figured out ways of releasing distractions, focusing the mind, and entering a place of oneness with the universe. So over the course of thousands of years of human experimentation, we've refined the process of cultivating mystic brain. Thanks to the quantum boost in the development of brain scanning technologies like EEGs and MRIs, scientists can now obtain high-definition images of what's happening inside the minds and brains of these mystics. We can't map the brains of long-dead mystics like Saint Teresa of Avila or Ramakrishna or Rumi. What we can do, though, is scan living people like Tibetan monks who have spent 10,000 hours in meditation, or Franciscan nuns who have spent 25 years in contemplative prayer. As we put these adepts into MRIs and EEGs, we see exactly which brain regions, brain waves, and neurotransmitters are active. On this quest, we use this knowledge to train you to reach those elevated states too. Each year, I lead week-long retreats. During one of those, we hook people up to EEGs at the beginning and the end of the 7 days. At the beginning, it took time to entrain people into these states. It required 15, 20, 30 minutes to reach those peak flow experiences. But by the end of the retreat, after just 7 days of practice, they could get there in under 4 minutes. We had one lady who had a full-blown mystical experience within 47 seconds. That's less than a minute. So on this quest, using methods based on this research, you will rapidly develop your ability to reach those states. This is the first of 3 preparation videos. These introduce you to the structure behind the quest and give you an overview of the techniques we'll use. This video is called Molecules of Emotion. That's because emotions aren't just immaterial feelings. Each emotion is associated with a particular molecule. In different moods, different molecules are synthesized by your brain. A straightforward example is cortisol. I've done several studies of cortisol. When you feel negative emotion, your body produces the corresponding stress hormone, cortisol. Mood and molecule go together. Another example is serotonin. Patients with depression get treated with drugs like Prozac and Zoloft. This class of drugs is called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs. Note the word serotonin there. Serotonin is a naturally occurring molecule, a neurotransmitter in your brain. When severely depressed people take SSRIs, the boost in serotonin can make them feel less depressed. We've all felt elevated emotions at times, and these moods are linked to molecules. When you smell rich, dark chocolate, you crave it. That's dopamine. When you hug a friend, warm feelings spread all over your body. That's oxytocin. You feel a sense of excitement as you're watching your favorite sports team win. That's norepinephrine. Tune in now to one of your favorite people or places and feel the connection. That's serotonin. A few minutes after you start exercising, you feel euphoria kick in. That's beta endorphin. You're working on a project, you get into a flow state, and you lose all track of time. That's anandamide. Elevated moods are associated with serotonin, dopamine, and other pleasure molecules in our brains. Now, street drugs, both illicit and legal, are also molecules of emotion. The active ingredient in marijuana is a molecule called THC. When those THC molecules dock with receptors in our brains, they produce an emotional high. Another psychoactive plant that's been used by human beings for tens of thousands of years is magic mushrooms. Their magic molecule is called psilocybin. Psilocybin docks with the same receptor sites in our neurons that our natural serotonin molecules dock with, like a key fitting a lock. So when we microdose on psilocybin capsules or eat magic mushrooms, we're introducing artificial external serotonin into our brains. The molecule produces the mood of euphoria. Now, these euphoric emotions feel seriously good. These inspired people like Lao Tzu, Rumi, St. Catherine of Siena, Milarepa experienced extraordinary emotional and mental states. You can see this in their writings. Rumi said, quote, "This is love, to fly toward a secret, to cause 100 veils to fall each moment, first to let go of life, finally to take a step without feet," unquote. Shaman Carlos Castaneda said that we all have, quote, "freedom to fly off into that infinity out there. Freedom to dissolve, to lift off, to be like the flame of a candle, which, in spite of being up against the light of a billion stars, remains intact," unquote. Such ecstatic states are described by mystics of all traditions. Ecstatic mystical experiences are common throughout history. Look at this image of St. Francis of Assisi, passed out during one of his ecstatic trances. It's called The Ecstasy of St. Francis and was painted in 1601 by Renaissance artist Giovanni Baglione. It struck me, looking at images like this, that these mystics look stoned, just like people high on psilocybin or marijuana. And it turns out that the molecular mechanisms of those ecstatic states are the same as those of psychoactive drugs. Ecstasy is chemistry. Science has now shown us that these ecstatic states are brainwaves and neurochemistry. For example, mystics have a surge in oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. Your body synthesizes it when you're in love. It's generated when you have sex or physical touch. It's produced even by emotional closeness. These mystics are having an experience of closeness. It's emotional intimacy with something much larger than themselves. This produces a surge of oxytocin, the feeling all this love pouring through their bodies as all these oxytocin molecules are being generated by their brains. At the same time, a part of the brain called the parietal lobe shuts down. It's the brain region that locates our body in space. I can pick up a water bottle over here and lift it to my mouth because my parietal lobe knows where my fingers end and the bottle begins. The parietal lobe is so good at doing this that I can even close my eyes. and reach out for the water bottle and pick it up without seeing it. That's one part of the brain that dials down during these elevated states. Another part of the brain that dials down is called the default mode network. It constructs our sense of self. I have a body, I have a mind, I'm wearing a blue shirt, I love mountain biking, I've written best-selling science books. This is all part of the self I construct using the default mode network. But the default mode network is also the root of our suffering. It obsesses about the version of self that got injured in the past and the version of self that might get hurt in the future. It's the source of most of our negative thinking. When we measure the brain of a mystic using an MRI, we find that the default mode network shuts down. Think about that. For the mystics, there is no self and no suffering. They are nobody. With a quiet parietal lobe, they're no place, no one, nowhere. At the same time, their brains are flooded with oxytocin, and they're madly in love. But they're not in love with any person or place. They are absorbed in the love of the infinite. That's what brings ecstasy. In this quest, we're going to learn to do exactly what these mystics do. Molecules like serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin are the most pleasurable molecules known to science. And the meditations on this quest train you to fill your brain with them. When we get them all present in the brain at the same time, we move into that elevated emotional state, mystic brain. The effects extend beyond your brain. They affect your entire body. As you synthesize each neurochemical, you'll feel the impact on your body. This is what psychologists call a felt sense of the reality of that state. You'll start with dopamine. As you evoke strong desire in your brain, you'll get the felt sense of that emotion in your body. I call dopamine your motivational molecule because it's generated when you really anticipate a reward. That's the first molecule we'll learn to generate, using the emotion of strong desire. Because it produces so much pleasure, dopamine is central to addiction. It triggers the brain's reward system in cravings for nicotine, sex, alcohol, heroin, and cocaine. But research shows that we can create dopamine without drugs. You'll feel that reward and pleasure molecule flooding your brain and body using the guided meditations in the quest. And you'll be producing it entirely with your mind. Unlike the dopamine produced by addictive drugs like cocaine and alcohol, your body's natural dopamine is safe and balanced. Because these pleasure neurochemicals are produced naturally in your body, there's no danger of an overdose or toxic reaction. Your brain's own chemicals are safe and natural within your own system. Then, on top of dopamine, we're going to stack oxytocin. Now, you feel a sense of unconditional love flooding your body as your brain generates oxytocin. The third meditation triggers the release of norepinephrine, an attention-enhancing neurochemical. On top of that, we stack serotonin, the satisfaction molecule. Now, think about the structure. First of all, you're wanting this elevated state, and you're using that craving to generate dopamine in your brain. You then direct that craving toward unconditional love. Then you learn to focus your attention on these pleasurable feelings and amplify them using norepinephrine. Next, with serotonin, you celebrate feeling, I'm in this wonderful space. At that point, you crank up the intensity with a neurotransmitter called nitric oxide. It's a performance enhancer that expands the blood vessels in the prefrontal cortex of your brain. The felt sense of nitric oxide is like a jolt of caffeine. You then feel ecstasy spreading throughout your body. That's beta endorphin kicking in. Beta endorphin is 3 times as strong as synthetic morphine. You can't help feeling ecstasy when you generate beta endorphin in your brain and body. Finally, you get the ultimate molecule, anandamide. Ananda is the Sanskrit word for bliss. That's why anandamide is called the bliss molecule. It has the same molecular shape as THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. But like dopamine, there's no chance of an overdose or toxic reaction because you're synthesizing it naturally in your own brain. You've now stacked anandamide on top of all those other molecules as you practice each of the 7 meditations for 3 days each. The quest now trains you to integrate all of these together in the unified experience of all 7 molecules together. By the end of the quest, you're now accomplished at generating each of the 7 most pleasurable neurochemicals known to science in your own brain and in your own body. That's why I said at the beginning of this video that I am beyond excited about you learning this and us being on this quest together. Here's what to prepare and what to know in advance. Number 1, keep a journal. To enhance your experience, I'd like you to keep a journal. The exercises I ask you to record in your journal will enhance your ability to deepen the meditations. Most of these exercises take 3 minutes or less. They're very, very brief. By completing these, you set yourself up for a successful meditation. Number 2, meditate first thing in the morning. You need to do these exercises first thing in the morning. Wake up and do the meditation immediately on awakening. Do not check your phone. Do not look at social media. Do not talk to a friend. Do not read your emails. Do not think about your workday. It's vital that you condition your brain with these meditations first thing in the morning. There's a whole branch of science called chronobiology, the biology of time. For example, certain hormones and neurotransmitters are at their peak early in the morning. Cortisol is one of those. We're meant to have a moderate amount of cortisol in our brains and cells early in the morning. That's what makes us alert. Chronobiology studies show that cortisol rises sharply starting at 4 a.m. in the morning. It peaks at 8 a.m. So you want to wake up in the morning and then take advantage of the alertness produced by cortisol to cultivate mystic brain. Also, when you're asleep, your brain is producing slow delta and theta brain waves. Then, as you wake up, you feel that floating sensation. That's alpha brain waves. If you immediately listen to the meditation audio, you gather all that theta, delta, and alpha into your meditative practice. You then move into mystic brain extremely quickly. So it's absolutely vital that you listen to the guided meditations first thing in the morning. Do this before you do anything that creates beta brain waves in your brain. These are the waves of stressful everyday life. Beta is produced by checking your alerts, jumping into work, chatting with other people, and viewing your emails. Chronobiology tells us that our peak is first thing in the morning. That's when you want to take advantage of these meditation tracks to propel you into mystic brain. I'm actually going to have you preview the first meditation, the dopamine meditation, right now. If you're watching this video in the morning, follow it up by playing that brief dopamine meditation and feeling the sensation of this motivational molecule in your body. If you're watching this video in the afternoon or evening, please do not do the dopamine meditation now. My wife accidentally stumbled across the dopamine meditation when I was away on a trip building this quest. She phoned me the next day and said, "Dawson, there's a big problem with that meditation. It sounded great, but I couldn't get to sleep for hours." That's dopamine. You want to be generating that molecule of emotion as your wake-up call first thing in the morning, definitely not last thing at night. So make sure you use all the meditations only in the morning. Number 3, make a 21-day commitment to your own well-being. Commit to meditating for 21 days straight. Enter your meditation periods into your calendar. If you use an online calendar, create a recurring event. Perhaps you wake up at 6:30 every day to get your kids ready for school. Set your alarm for 6 a.m. When that alarm rings at 6 a.m., sit up in bed and play the meditation track immediately. Take this commitment as seriously as showing up for a doctor's appointment or a hot date. Make this a non-negotiable commitment. Masters are uncompromising in their practice. You're also going to set 3 goals for the outcome of this course in your journal. The exercise below will guide you through doing that. After the 3 preparation videos, you will officially start the 21-day quest. At this point, you'll listen to the dopamine meditation for 3 days, then switch to oxytocin for the next 3 days, and go on from there. You will complete brief journaling exercises each day. Again, most of these are 3 minutes or less. To introduce each of the 7 neurochemicals, you'll find a 5-minute video explaining the emotions and physical sensations that go along with it. These meditations have changed the lives of thousands of people. They brought them to elevated states really quickly. You might think that the bliss of a St. Catherine or Ramakrishna or Rumi is beyond you. Think again. You'll discover very quickly that these states are attainable by anyone. It doesn't take 10,000 hours. It only takes 21 days. I am so delighted to be with you as we install Mystic Brain inside of your head. I'm thrilled to be sharing these breakthrough neuroscience concepts with you. I know that this quest has the potential to accelerate your personal, psychological, and spiritual development like nothing else. And all you have to do is sit back and listen to a meditation first thing in the morning every day for the next 21 days. So here are your actions for today. Preview the dopamine guided meditation. Schedule time for the meditations on your calendar and prepare a journal for this quest. It's my privilege to be your guide. I look forward to seeing you in the next preparation videos. In videos 2 and 3, we'll cover the individual techniques within each meditation. I'll also show you how we anchor these pleasurable sensations in your body so that you can maintain them throughout your day. I'll see you in the next video.